Now, do you think, now, as you know, like you just said, images are power. They are real power. Why is it that, I've noticed in the last 10, 15 years, Black images have been appearing on HIV prevention messages. I've seen a few commercials with Black faces that speak honestly about what they're going through. And it sends a powerful message to the Black community. But yet we still find that, I'm going to say, for example, when Black Cap was at the PWA Foundation in that building, they seem to have a hard time having Black people access the programs in that building.
It's
You
funny you
understand
say
what I'm
that
saying?
because I was one of those people in the PWA building. Myself with Mary Dago were actually satellites there. And yeah, it was difficult for I'm going to say our people to access the building. There are a lot of barriers. Some of them were just say clash of personalities. And I think it was absolutely necessary for Black Cap to have its own space. As I will advocate for Blacks to have their own space, some conversations we need to have by ourselves without other ears available. Sometimes we have to be candid with ourselves, and we don't want other ears available. So I think accessing services for PWA was probably a lot of barriers going there.
Okay, because I'm sure the PWA looked at everybody as the same under one umbrella. And like you said, sometimes we need to just deal with each other one-on-one. And because
Right.
we understand each other. And like I tell people this all the time, no matter being Black around the world, I can go anywhere and fit into any Black culture because it's just, we understand each other.
Right.
No matter what language you speak, you're Black, we know what time it is. Now, what do you want to do now that you graduate? What is it that you want to do?
Well, I've started an initiative called Black City. And what I really want to do is have a space for us to talk about us. Like I said, images are very powerful. And often the images that we've seen about ourselves haven't been produced by us. So it's almost as if somebody else is telling you who you can be. I think having a space for us to talk about who we can be without everybody else tripping in and telling that is exactly what I want to do. So Black City's first thing is called the Village Social Media. Yes, you heard it. I'm going to try and do a Black owned and operated social media platform, and all the proceeds would go towards helping Black communities. And I'm not going to say that anybody gave 1,000 or 100,000 to Trump's campaign. All I'm going to say is Black City Village is going to be pro-Black, and all money is going to go towards helping Black social. That's it.
Okay. Now that you said that about Donald Trump, I'm from Orlando.
Right.
And it's the Bible Belt. Now, I'm gonna be honest, my parents were Republican, okay? They were straight out Republican, and that's how we grew up. Not necessarily that I voted in that way as I got older and had to make my own choices. But now that we're in Canada, a place that is supposed to be so diverse and so welcoming, we are seeing so many of the refugees in the system, not just for trying to get a place to call home, but yet they're trying to access programs that are in a marginalized system already. Now, how do you tell Black people who come from a country that their country where they feel like they're at home, but yet they come here and want to feel at home because they're coming from something that doesn't offer them programs that can sort of make their lives better? Do you understand what I'm saying? What do you think where's the communication problem here?
So what I hear from you, Stephanie, is newcomers not being able to navigate systems. Again, we as Black people have issues navigating systems, and I think there needs to be some sort of bridging of the gap. I think social services, ASOs need to step in right at that beginning stage. I think we need to hold them by their hand and bring them into our country and deal with what those issues are. And I think too many times they're coming in, slipping under the radar, coming in, slipping under the radar. And so that's when we get into the problems. And that's what I mean by navigating the system. So if we can get in there right when they come and help them navigate the system, I believe that process would be a lot better.
Okay, and now that you graduated, like I said before, what steps are you taking now to make the reality of what you want to happen? Black City, is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's Black City, the village. And so
Okay.
I've actually got some friends on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so you've left Black Cap altogether.
Correct.
Okay. I'm not going to ask why. I'm just trying to make it all fit in, or connect. I want to have I wanted the people out there to have a real connection of resources, where you stand, how you can help them, and if you can't help them at this time, but yet you can still give them valuable information that can guide them along their way. Now, Pride is coming up in Toronto.
Correct.
Now, we're dealing with all kinds of things, from the protests and the mere fact of this coronavirus thing here. Plus, we have, you remember last year when we had the preachers, Black preachers in the village?
Yeah.
We're going to have that again, I'm sure. So what do you think how are you going to get the message out about AIDS prevention, HIV prevention, when we are dealing with this coronavirus? How do you deal with that?
So it's funny you say that. Like you, I come from a very Christian background, and sex wasn't really talked about. And you talk about these Black men with their Bibles in there. That often is a very scary point, and that can be a definite sign of people to run away. So I think it's really important for our religious leaders to reach out and have those conversations with the people, because remember, our people thrive within our churches. So if you're away from that and you don't have that kind of flock, things can get very difficult. So what I would like to look at is means of communication. So I have a chat group. There's QR codes that people get. You scan it, it automatically gets into a chat group. People can ask questions day or night, and I'll try my best to respond to them. If I don't know the information, I'm online looking for it to give it to them. And these sometimes are people who don't have homes, people who really need the information right now, people who are actually street involved as well as substance involved. So I want to be able to be available to them. So that's in the interim something that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you see over the years, how do you see the success of prevention? Has it really made a difference? All of the marketing, all of the handing out condoms, all of the preaching, all of the programs, have we seen real success in this community?
So that's what takes me back. If there are those who are not part of the community can't thrive. So we need people and companies who are willing to go and meet people where they're at. We need to go to Jane and Finch. We need to go to those areas. We have to go and meet people where they're at. If we're not prepared to do that, then we're not going to meet our mandate. We're not going to be able to save the people. And I think having those at the helm who are going to flee from the downtown core, because keep in mind, our community isn't the downtown. Our community is spread out here. We need to be able to reach them here. And we also need the funding to do it as well. So that's
okay. Now, do you think there will be a cure for HIV?
The truth is, I hope there will be. I have faith that there will be. Um, but capitalism in a neoliberal society just tells me there won't be. If there is, they won't make it available.
Okay. Now, I saw something in the US to where they're on the verge of finding a cure. Now, that came from the CDC. Um, and as far as I'm concerned, until we know and we have the right data and we're getting the right information from the right forms of government, I'm just looking at it as though I am very happy that so many people are surviving at this time, because I'm saying that there must be some success in a big way, because we're not seeing people die like they used to, which is a good thing. And I take my hat off to the government and to the pharmaceutical companies for making sure that people have their drugs available to them. And the fact that they have doctors to do follow-ups to make sure that everybody is okay. Now, with that being said, what do you think should happen for the next prevention? What's the next phase we should go to for prevention? We already know, like you said, we give out the condoms, we put out the educational material, but still people aren't getting it.
Okay, the truth is, again, meeting people where they're at. What about digital resources? We live in a digital world. There's apps, there's X, Y, and Z. And I think there should be a brochure that says, if you're new to this country, download these apps, and these apps will navigate you. And I think that's what needs to happen, is an actual resource that navigates you from X, Y, and Z's of being part of Canadian life.
Mm-hmm. Now, as most, like you said, most of the Black Caribbean and Black people live around the city and not in the downtown core, but yet the energy and the money focuses in the downtown core. So wouldn't you think that the Black population or the Black programs, there should be something focused downtown? Meaning, I had an issue with Black Lives Matter having protests and having this cause and that cause, but yet City TV went to the offices and they had no offices. They had no pamphlets, no programs, no nothing. The man's knocking on the door and nobody is answering phone calls at their supposedly business. Now, this is what I'm saying, is if all the money and the energy is downtown, your programs should be focused more downtown. I understand reaching out and going into these different communities. And I understand from people being homeless to needing services with HIV, to people just needing services in general for whatever the cause is for them at the moment. But the government has put these programs in place downtown because they know that that's where the general population of the LGBTQ community focuses. That's where they come to, that's where they congregate, that's where they socialize, that's where they work, that's where they party, that's where a lot of them live. Now, what do you think needs to change? I mean, like, let's just say they have Black Cap, they have the PWA Foundation, they used to have ACT, which was a library or something. I don't know what I think they focus more on the education part. But now, what do you think needs to happen to get people to go out in Jane and Finch, Black Creek, Scarborough, Bluffs area? Like, how do you think, what do you think we need to do?
We need to make allies. We need to go as organizations to other organizations, community centers in these spaces, and we need to like talk face to face with executive directors of their places where we can actually implement services, where we can actually get our programs into these places, where our outreach workers can go for a weekly, bi-weekly visit and have these discussions.
Now, now that you said that, I did a little homework. I went over to Regent Park, where they have an LGBT programs there for the older lesbian and gay two-spirited community, and they have a youth program. But when I sat around just so I could watch and see how many people actually showed up at these programs. The programs are there, but 2 or 3 people access them.
Yes. For me, it's about reaching people where they're at. And again, so what we're feeling is there are people who are actually not identified. They slip through the cracks. There are people who don't want to identify. They're slipping through the cracks. But sometimes these people will come and access services downtown. So, there are people who don't want to be associated with gayness. There are people who live completely different lives. What needs to happen is we have to be able to meet them where they're at and direct them to services without them having to compromise quote unquote identity that they're in.
Okay, now I'm going to say this here because I think it needs to be said. It's been on my mind since he said this to me. Now, I asked someone to do my show because I felt that somebody from the community that I think is trying to do something on his own and trying to make an impact on something I think is probably a better market in the U.S. than it is here. But I asked him to take a stand on something within our community. And you know what he said to me? This is a Black man. He said this to me: your audience is not my audience. And I thought to myself, here goes the divide again.
Right.
So
yeah.
You're listening to me and you're watching what I do, and you see that I'm not on one side of the coin or the other side, but our audiences are not the same.
No.
Meaning that you don't, for me, I would use any voice I had in any medium to get my word and my message across to someone that might be more popular or has a bigger audience. Right. But you're letting pride and the fact of maybe some jealousy get in because I'm not trying to think for this person, but I said, okay, thank you.
You saw it. Yeah. You were able to see that they put up this block. And I think that right there, so you see it all the time. And that block prevents that person from accessing services, from going where they need to go to fix what's ailing them in their life.
It's a shame that happens a lot with us. But it's funny, I've been reaching out to a lot of the American girls, and I didn't reach out to a lot of the Black girls here, only the ones that I thought that really understood our cause, our plight. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to gain anything but knowledge and to help. That's all Stephanie's trying to do. If something good comes out of all this, we're blessed, all of us.
Right.
So I look at it that way. But